Welcome back to Lost in the Frame. My name is Malik,
My name is Alex.
My name is Tachi.
and today's episode, Who Up Acting on They Valor? Did I say it right?
Something like that.
All right, cool. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Off to a strong start. I'm doing good. I'm really excited for today's discussion.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a good one. Could be the best one we've done yet.
I mean, we're only 3 in, so I don't think the bar is set too high yet.
Well, third time's the charm. So
That's true. Tachi, how are things in your world?
Good. Ready to talk some war.
You guys been watching any other movies besides these last 3? I feel like I need a detox from all these war movies. Like I feel weird.
Yeah. I watched High School Musical 2 and 3 pretty recently.
Nice. Which one's your favorite?
Probably the first one.
I think the second one's a pretty strong contender.
It's not bad. The coloring is kind of insane,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. 3 has the best production.
Oh yeah, they got the Disney budget on High School Musical 3.
Yeah. 3 looked great, sounded great, but 1 is just it's a classic. Can't go wrong.
Is it true that Zac Efron did not sing in the first movie?
It is mostly true.
Mostly true.
Mm-hmm. He sings like the first line of the first song,
And
then he sings one line when he's standing on a balcony. I think that's it.
Alex, do you like High School Musical?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I would admit in like middle school and elementary school when it came out. I also had a huge crush on Ashley Tisdale. So
I thought you were going to say
that
Zac
helped.
Efron.
Well, I mean,
That one's a given.
yeah, duh.
We all did. Yeah, Alex, you been watching anything else besides these war movies?
Well, to cleanse my palate from these war movies, I watched The Passion of the Christ. That was,
Whoa. Okay.
yeah. It was Easter, so I had to mark the occasion, you know?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Were you with family?
No.
You just raw dogged it.
Just ripping Passion
I
of the
shouldn't
Christ
say
solo.
Passion of the Christ. Oh, that's my bad. All right. Well,
You're going to hell.
Before we get into the war movies, we got a couple snippets of some movie news. Do either of you want to? We only got a couple here. Either of you want to take the first one?
Yeah, I'll actually take the first one because the first one's something that I forgot to add to our little docket. I actually just saw it come out on Twitter today.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty interesting. Indian Paintbrush Studios announced that there's going to be a live performance of Conclave going on in the Vatican City in the coming weeks. So
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I saw that Amazon released Conclave on Prime like for free, I think yesterday.
That's pretty cool.
They wasted no time. Pope died and they're like, you know what? It's time to promote this movie.
R.I.P. Pope Francis.
That might be the best marketing ploy I've ever seen.
It's very timely.
Very timely.
All right, what's next?
Yeah. Alex, you look like you're about to say something.
I can't believe you guys just completely glossed over what I just said.
What did you say?
What did you say?
That Indian Paintbrush Studios is doing a live performance, a stage play of Conclave in the Vatican City in the coming weeks.
Am I missing something? Like they actually are. They're not. It's happening.
I'm gonna let you sit with it for a second. Our next bit of news is that the Oscars now require everyone to watch everything that they vote on.
I'm so glad this is happening.
How that took 97 iterations of the Oscars to get to is beyond me.
It comes out every year, and I saw a lot of it this past year. But I guess they'll get a lot of the Academy voters will get interviewed randomly and kind of talk about why they're voting for what they're voting for. And just so many clips of these articles of people just blatantly admitting that they didn't watch this because of XYZ. Oh, this movie was too long, so I didn't get to it. Oh, this is my friend's favorite movie, so I'm voting for it.
That's unreal.
The one that always pissed me off was, did you ever see like some of the snippets of people talking about like animation, the animation category?
Like the most recent one?
I don't remember which one it was for, but I remember seeing a snippet floating around on Twitter recently, or X, we're going to call it Twitter. I remember seeing something floating around on Twitter recently that was some guy was complaining that it's like I stopped watching like animated movies when I was a kid, and the only reason that I do it is when my kid goes to theater, and it's
Mm,
like, dude, like have some professionalism.
yeah.
That's a
You are
voter?
in the academy because you are, in theory, someone who um, contributes to art.
Yeah.
And if you don't consider animation art, you can just get out of here.
It's
That's
really
ins
embarrassing
Yeah.
for him.
yeah. I wouldn't be caught dead not watching any of these movies. Like, if I was an Academy voter, how do you become an Academy voter?
I think to so the academy, I think, is just that's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I want to say it's like if you are an academy voter for acting, it's because you are an actor. And I think you are invited to like join the academy as like a voter.
Mm,
I think there are a lot more people in the academy than people realize. So when people are like, "Oh, like the academy," they're picking a like, they sit. I think a lot of people imagine a bunch of like old Hollywood types sitting around like an oak table in some dark room.
it's
They're
gotta be, like,
like,
thousands of members, right?
and they're like, Amelia Perez is getting 11 nods this year. No, it is something in like the thousands of members, and what the Oscars
Oh,
are, I'm pretty sure it's just like an aggregate of like the top movies receiving votes. So like
I think that's worse that Amelia Perez got that many nominations with amongst thousands of people. That's almost worse than a group of 5 old white men around an oak table.
that was my
first the
understanding.
nominations, then the wins. Amelia Perez must rise again.
Have I ever showed you so I won't say names, but there was an old leadership person at a place where, Alex, you and I worked. This person is no longer there.
McDonald's?
Sure. But his sister was a or is a casting director, and she lives in Los Angeles, and she's an Academy voter.
You didn't
And
tell me
so
that.
That's
one
cool.
day, yeah, one day he knew I was into movies and stuff, and just randomly he tells me he's like, "I'm gonna bring you something tomorrow." He's like, "But it's a surprise." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I show up to work the next day, and he hands me here. Let me see if I can find.
It's crazy that all this was happening at the McDonald's we worked at, and we're just
Yeah,
taking orders and
yeah, it's insane.
yeah.
And then he hands me a little bag, and there's a DVD copy of Avengers Endgame, but it's an awards screener for Avengers Endgame. So this is what they send the Academy voters, whoever's nominated, and you can see on the back here, it's got everything that it was nominated for this year, but like an official Academy
That's so cool.
screener
That's really
copy
cool.
of Avengers Endgame. I think
How,
this is so sick.
how did I
Mm.
not know you had that? I mean, we've
I
been
don't
getting
know.
on our physical movie kick, so
Yeah. This kicked it off, I would say.
yeah, that would do it for sure.
Yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool. What else we got here? Dominic Sessa's Anthony Bourdain in new A24 biopic. Do you guys
I
say
love.
biopic or biopic?
I say biopic.
I say biopic.
Okay, we got 2 biopics, 1 biopic, so
Well, I
lost on
dare to
the
be different, but I love the casting. I think there is an argument to be made that he is the best part of the holdovers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think Giamatti is the best acting performance, but I think Dominic Sessa is in his character. I think it makes the movie.
That's fair.
And so when I saw him cast as Anthony Bourdain, I was just ecstatic. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a great. I'm all in on Dominic Sessa.
I'm with you.
You calling your shot.
Yeah, I'm with I was thinking we were gonna see him, maybe a little bit quicker after the holdovers, but, I mean, this is a good jumping off point.
But you know what? I'm glad we're not actually. I'm glad that he's taking, well, he seems to be taking the time on intentionally picking his next role. I mean, you think about like, there's a lot of great actors out there who are just in like slop, but you think about the ones who aren't, like Daniel Day Lewis. I mean, sure, you might not like every movie he's in, but he seemed to be very intentional about the roles that he picked.
Mhm.
Leo.
Leo.
Whereas, like, and this isn't to put her down because I think she's fantastic. Kate Blanchett is in a lot of movies where it's like, why is Kate Blanchett in this? Borderlands, cough cough. And it's like, does she just do it for like the love of the game? Like, I love being on set, or is she just, I don't know. Like, I'm not
Mm.
Kate Blanchett, and um if I was, this podcast would have way more viewers than it currently does. But
I'm well, maybe she does the classic like 2 for them, 1 for me. So she makes 2 slot movies and then gets the check, and then that lets her go do the more meaningful, quote unquote, work that
she goes
maybe
hard in the
doesn't make
paint
a
for
billion
Tar.
at the box office. The what?
Said she goes hard in the paint with Tar.
Exactly. Tar is so good. That's
Oh,
a
it's
great
so
movie.
good. Anyone else have any news that they want to call out before we hop into the next bit? I mean, I feel like
I'm
it was kind
quitting.
of a light week in terms of drama
Yeah,
in
I
the
feel like it was
scene.
a pretty light week. I saw Christensen says he had dinner with Ryan Gosling after it was announced that he would be leading his own Star Wars film.
Saw that too.
It was
That's
a really
sweet.
good dinner. I was really glad Hayden treated me to that.
We gotta stop. I saw a TikTok edit of an interviewer asking Ryan Gosling, like, "Oh, like, what made you want to do Star Wars? Like, what makes you so excited about this project?" And it was like an AI voiceover of his answer, and he was just like, "I fly," and then,
Well,
and then
it does make sense because I mean, he has recently decided to pivot to movies that he's like, what would I want my kids to see me in? Um, I
is
think
he
he's
on record saying that?
yes,
Uh,
I think he's taking like a little bit more family friendly approach, and it would make sense. I mean, he's been in what are his last three roles? Barbie,
Fall Guy.
Fall
Fall Guy.
Guy, and then,
Good question.
but I mean, because those are a far cry from like the Blade Runner 2049, Drive, Place Beyond the Pine characters that I think we kind of all fell in love with him with. And I'm happy that he's happy and he's kind of doing, what he wants for his family. I think that would be the ultimate goal, really. At
Mhm.
least for me as an actor. It's like, I want to leave legacy for my family. Like what do they want me in? I'm going to do that instead of like,
The Gray Man
son,
was his
Gray Man. Oh, there's a
Not great.
movie.
so
You want
Gray
to talk
Man,
about just
not good. Barbie, good. Fall Guy, good.
I never saw First Man, but I wanted to.
I don't remember First Man, but I did see it.
I only saw what was the other space one with Brad Pitt? Uh,
Martian?
Ad Astra?
Ad Astra.
I'm
Yeah,
an
that
idiot.
was so
That's Matt
boring.
Damon. Martian is Matt Damon.
Ad Astra, did I watch I'm pretty sure I saw Ad Astra. That
It
one I don't
was
remember, but that might just be for my bad memory. Uh,
no, it's very forgettable.
is it really?
Hmm.
What was the Ryan Gosling one called?
First Man.
First
He's
Man.
Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, the first time I watched First Man was during ACL weekend. I got a little too anxious for some reason because of a piece of candy that I had. And so I walked out of the park and I walked to a movie theater, to the Violet Cinema in downtown Austin. And I went to go watch First Man. And I do not remember the movie whatsoever.
Because of the candy that made you sick.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
that's my memory of First Man.
Sounds like a good memory.
For sure. And also we brought up Ryan Gosling every single episode, and I think we need to keep that tradition up.
I agree.
All right. Let's get into these movies.
Let's.
We are
Let's do it.
war pilled. We're going to be talking Warfare, Jarhead, and Act of Valor. Alex, do you want to speak a little bit about maybe why we picked these specific movies?
I'll dive into that. I mean, these three monuments to the war genre really deserve to be discussed.
All three.
All three.
So with A24 releasing Warfare, within the last month, a lot of the online discourse that I've seen surrounding it, especially when the trailer came out, was, does this movie glorify war? And you're seeing a hot debate on Letterboxd, Reddit, Twitter, wherever you go and get your terminally online movie opinions. You're seeing a lot of back and forth on that topic. Now, I've seen the movie and I have my own opinion. That opinion has been, kind of influenced by my upbringing. For those who aren't listening, or the ones who aren't listening wouldn't hear it, but for those who listen and don't know, I was raised in an army family. My dad was in the army, and I've lived overseas on base and have lived through, him being deployed to the very war that warfare depicts. So it is, it's not a personal movie for me, but it's one that I definitely have a lot more, personal context for.
Mhm,
And so I definitely thought that, with this contemporary war film, I mean, this is a movie that we have grown up seeing play out on NBC, ABC, CNN for almost all of our childhoods, really. And we're going to see more and more of these as they come. I feel like when people think of war movies, they think of, a Saving Private Ryan or a Thin Red Line, something about World War II or war that's, kind of ancient history, so to speak. But as time passes, I do think we will start to see more and more and more contemporary war films come out. And, these contemporary wars that the United States has been involved in, not to get political, are very controversial. We'll put it that way. And so the media that comes out subsequently will always have a little bit of controversy surrounding it. And so we wanted to take three contemporary war films. We wanted to pit them against each other and see, is there a trend of these movies glorifying war? Is there not? What do they do differently from others? And do they, and is this discourse warranted?
mhm.
And so with that context, there is something I'd like to bring up before we hop into this discussion. To get a lot of equipment for these war movies, the DoD does have to sign off on them, and that's true for like a Marvel movie too. Like the DoD was heavily involved with some of the Marvel movies just because of the equipment they were showing on screen. So this isn't like we just wanted to bring that out there just because obviously like that is the case for these movies. There is involvement with the US military for them and warfare, so much so that one of the main characters in the movie actually helped Alex Garland direct the movie. So I'll stop eulogizing on the mic and Malik, I'll pass it to you. Why don't you introduce us to warfare?
Sure. Thank you
Yeah, that
for
was great, Alex.
yeah, for that explanation. All right, so a brief synopsis of warfare. A platoon of American Navy SEALs on a surveillance mission gone wrong in insurgent territory. A boots on the ground story of modern warfare and brotherhood, told in real time and based on the memory of people who lived it. And some of the cast and crew for this one is Joseph Quinn as Sam, Pharaoh Woon Tai as Ray, Cosmo Jarvis as Elliot, Aaron McKenzie as Kelly, Alex Brockdorf as Mikey. We've got Finn Bennett, Evan Holtzman, Michael Gandolfini, and quite a few more. Will Poulter, Noah Centineo. I didn't know he was in this. I don't remember seeing him. Um, but yeah, that's some of the cast and crew.
You forgot my dog Charles Melton.
Did I forget Charles Melton?
You
Yep,
forgot Charles Melton.
Charles Melton. I'm sorry, Charles. That was not on purpose.
It is such a stacked cast.
It has a very stacked cast. And I was kind of surprised to one see Alex Garland turn around and I mean we just got Civil War I think this time last year, like I think Civil War came out last May, so it was kind of surprising to see him turn right back around and direct another war movie like this. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear you guys' thoughts because Alex Garland, like I enjoy a lot of Alex Garland's movies, and I feel for at least the last couple years there's been what feels like a harder stance that he's trying to take. I think from his movies and the message that he's trying to convey, going from these pretty hardcore sci-fi movies to these more politically centralized war films. So would be curious to see if maybe you guys have thought of something similar or have any thoughts around that.
Pass it to you, Tachi.
I was just gonna say, I don't know that I remember your actual question.
Maybe it was too long of a question. Maybe
What do you think about the pivot Alex Garland has done between the
Ah,
sci-fi movies like Annihilation to Civil War and now Warfare?
mhm,
yeah. I think once he gets away from those sort of abstract sci-fi types of movies, it's easier to come to conclusions about what he's trying to convey. But I will say, I think there's still room for interpretation. Like the way that I experience these three movies, I feel like I could easily come away with a different conclusion from each of them. Like
Mhm.
different as in each movie is unique in terms of what it's trying to accomplish. I guess to pull it back to Warfare, I have also formed my opinion on this,
Mhm.
and I don't know like how it aligns with maybe the majority of viewers, but to me, it felt really clear about his, I guess, the purpose of the movie
Yeah.
and why he put it together.
And when did you guys watch this? When did you guys get to check this one out?
I watched it last night.
Last night?
Hmm?
I saw Warfare the night before we saw Sinners. Actually,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I honestly I haven't seen much splash about this movie. Like I feel like it's going pretty under the radar, especially as compared to like Civil War. I feel like everyone
Hmm.
was talking about Civil War last year, but this one kind of I mean, I don't want to say it came and went, but I feel like it's not really getting a
It's not
whole
getting a
lot
lot of
of buzz.
headlines. Hmm. I was thinking about that during my viewing of it, during some of the slow parts, and I was wondering like why no one's talking about it because it's gripping.
Yeah.
I was stunned leaving the theater from that one. Actually, I thought I liked Civil War. I think more than a lot of people did, but I was floored by Warfare. I mean, just
Mhm.
like if this is the direction that Alex Garland's going to go in, like he has my full approval. Because I mean, as long as he keeps producing movies like this, I think it's fantastic. I mean, that was one of the most gripping and realistic movies about like a contemporary war that I have seen.
Mhm.
And the thing for me that was so powerful when I was watching it was how real it felt. I mean, there were moments watching it, and if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, maybe take this into consideration when you go, because you should go. You should see this movie in theaters because the
Yes.
sound design is so realistic.
It is
It,
insane.
best
I
sound
almost
design I've ever
wish
heard.
like the scenes when they're in a firefight, I wish I had earplugs in. It felt like I was at the range. It was that loud. The crack of the guns is so real. When they do shows of force with the jets, I mean,
Oh
I
my god.
That was
just
Was booming.
amazing.
there was even one moment in the movie, and I won't spoil it, but you guys will know exactly which one I was talking about. It caught me so off
Yes.
guard because of how the sound was. I jumped in my seat.
Yep.
Mhm.
Literally, I flinched more so than in any horror movie I think I've seen in the last couple years in a theater. It was that just um I did a hand thing like the listeners can see it. It was that jarring. And I'm pleading with you. If you're listening right now, you need to go see this movie in theaters.
Yes.
I did flinch every time they did the show of force. Like, even knowing it was coming, just the
Mhm.
sudden boom just jolted me out of my seat.
It was, I mean, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Even when you it was coming, I mean, there was one of the scenes you could see the plane banking in the sky and coming in for the run. You could literally
Mhm.
time it out, and it still caught me by surprise because it was so loud. I mean, this movie this was made to be in a theater. I mean,
Yeah.
no
Yep.
home sound system can do that movie justice unless you have thousands of dollars to spend. Like your sound bar, not gonna cut it. It'll sound great, it'll sound awesome, but I mean, this movie was probably one of the most impactful theater experiences I've had in a bit.
Mhm.
Same.
And I thought Civil War was similar. I thought the end of Civil War with the battle scene in DC, I thought that the sound design there was crazy. I mean, it felt like the combat was going on right outside the theater walls.
Yep.
And this one, I mean, it wasn't just like the machines and the gunfire. I mean, it was the sound design of like the voices, how they communicated with each other, how they
Yep.
couldn't hear each other, and then I mean the screaming
Mhm.
of anyone who got wounded. That was just
It was
horrifying.
awful.
I thought it was so unsettling listening to it,
One of
and
my Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just it cut me off, please. I can go on and on about this one.
One of my favorite examples of just how great the sound design was and I don't think this is spoiling anything super major, but
I
uh,
mean, is it really spoiling when it's like the Iraq War? I mean, you can't really
it's really
spoil
not.
the
Yeah,
Iraq War.
yeah, that's very true.
Spoiler alert, guys, we pull out.
But it was a sequence of the communications that Ray was doing, and I think something major had just happened, and they're trying to get some support, and there's just all of these voices coming in from all directions that he's probably
Oh my
hearing, like,
god,
within
yeah.
his helmet.
Yep.
Yeah, and, like, in the theater, like, I was at a Cinemark, and I don't think Cinemark has, like, the greatest sound, like, Alamo's is a lot better, but, like, there was like, 10 seconds where it literally felt and I'm putting my hands, like, on my head, it felt like they were, like, talking, like, in my eyes, like, that's the only way I can describe it, but it felt like right here.
Mhm.
It was insane.
I watched it at the AMC with Dolby, and
Oh,
oh my god, that one, scene that you're talking about, it was so overwhelming. I honestly I didn't know how much longer I could take. It yeah,
he rips out the
unbelievable.
comm, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh my," like, I felt like I could breathe.
yep.
It was suffocating, yeah.
Yes, that's a perfect word to use. That's what I've been thinking of since I watched it is because, like, I don't know, there's so many things about this movie and how it was produced that intertwine to, like, give the experience that I think he was intending to make it feel suffocating. Like, the way that the camera weaves through the platoon in the
Yep.
house, the way that we only see and hear and feel their experience. We don't see anything external. Like, when it shows them looking out the window, sometimes we never see what they see. We don't know who they're shooting at. We feel just as lost as they do, and it's just horrifying and suffocating and very hard to deal with.
That opening 15 minutes of the movie was executed so well and just laid the foundation of that intensity that you're talking about that you feel for the entire runtime, and it just doesn't let up. Like,
Right.
seeing the majority of what our character is looking at through the scope of the sniper and just the comms here and there just built up just a profound way to open a movie. And yeah, like I said, just does not let up, and
Mhm.
it really immersed you into that world.
Also, the call on me sequence right at the
Oh
beginning.
yeah, yeah.
That really immersed me.
Yeah, that was hype.
That was pretty
It
cool.
actually was. I
It
was
was.
like, "Look at the boys, they're just getting down, having fun." Like,
Mhm.
We should have added that song in before we started talking about this movie.
we'll put it in post.
And real quick, just to go back to the show of force, I don't wanna glamorize this, but that was really, really cool.
Oh, it was so
Like,
sick.
that's really badass, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, we can zoom out and in a vacuum, like, that was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love planes, dude. I was losing my mind.
Big playing guy.
Big plane
And
guy.
the visual effects were great too. I don't know how much of that was practical, but it looked awesome.
Yeah, I definitely wanna see some interviews with Alex Garland. I'd love to hear him talk a little bit more, about this movie.
Mhm.
One of the I wanted to get your guys' take on this. One of the common detractions I see on this one is a lot of the people who don't like the movie cite the Iraqi family in the house that they're occupying,
Mm.
and they say they weren't like focused on enough, like they were kind of shoved into a corner. They weren't respected. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
It felt very intentional. Like, even though I really enjoyed this movie for giving us this lens of following just this team over this over this 2-hour period. Like, I wasn't sure what the movie was going to, like, kind of go for. I hadn't seen any trailers walking into it, so when the credits rolled, I was surprised that we were just in that it was just a single location. Like, if I think war movie, I don't think single location. So I think that in itself, and then that just lends its hand into, again, the experience that a lot of these teams went through. So with the Iraqi family kind of literally and figuratively being shoved into a corner, that just felt like that was the full intention kind of going into it. Because I mean, on the outside there's this bigger picture in that house that we're in that's happening everywhere. There's so many other instances of exactly that happening and them trying to focus specifically on their mission.
We can
So
edit this bit out, Malik. There's an animal trying to get
yes.
into your house.
Your cat's
Oh,
paw is
oh,
just
the
like
paw.
There's a paw. You're talking about this really
I know.
like sensitive topic, and I just
I
see like this
I saw Tasha
fist.
smiling and I was like, "I'm failing. I'm not
no,
cooking."
No,
Oh,
what
no,
you were
the
saying was so good, but I think
it's all I could
Luna's
focus
trying to
on.
okay,
get
I'm
it.
gonna I'm gonna open the door real quick and then remember what I said and then respond to it.
I already forgot.
I was focusing on the cat like the last 30 seconds of him talking.
Same.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I
That's
really
okay.
was not paying attention.
That was
Malik,
so sad.
you should do a post credits blooper of us realizing the cat was trying to break in. Hi,
Um,
Luna.
where did I leave off?
You had kind of just finished up, but you were talking about the intentionality of it, and then so we'll cut in 3, 2, 1.
So yeah, it was I think it's hard to kind of put it all into words, but I mean, what was some of the like discourse that you were seeing around it?
I was seeing a lot of like it was disrespectful to not include like their suffering on camera more. I'm in the camp with you. I think that this was a movie based on the perspective of the soldiers there, so it does make sense that in the combat the family wouldn't be focused on. But I think they did a good job of kind of showing how messed up it was. And the scene that really sticks out to me is when they're calling in the tank strike, when Charles Milton calls in the tank to shoot the roof of the place, and the guy is freaking out. I mean, that scene stuck with me a lot because the owner of the house is like, "You're destroying our house," and they just completely ignore it, and they let it linger enough that you can tell. I think that kind of eats at least Ray a little bit. I mean, because they also took the due diligence to at the end of the movie, and this isn't a spoiler. This is in the end credits. They show pictures of the real people involved, including the family.
Mhm.
They did take the time to include them as well. Obviously, this was an American point of view movie. And I think even that being the case, I don't think it takes away from the fact that millions of Iraqi people suffered from that movie. And I don't think this movie tried to erase that. I just think it's from the point of view of someone who was there.
Well said. I agree.
In fact, if you flip that perspective, it kind of highlights how mistreated they were, how forgotten they were,
Yeah,
how much they were not considered during all this.
I agree
Mhm.
with you. I agree with you 100%. I mean, think about it. Imagine if, we're filming this podcast and soldiers break into one of y'all's house while they're filming this and they just post up and stuff you in a bedroom. It would be awful, traumatizing. I
Yeah.
mean, and I think that's partially why I liked Civil War so much. Was you take that, like war photography, like look at all these tragic pictures from home or from abroad, we're in Afghanistan. Look what life is like in Kabul, the war. Look how tragic it is. And it is. But imagine if that came home now. And I think that's why I found that movie so powerful was, you take, you the war photographers shown in that movie were very, hungry for the shot. It almost felt like Nightcrawler a little bit. And
It
I'm
did,
sure a
yeah.
lot of that
Mhm.
goes on in real war correspondence. Um, but now it's like you're kind of just looking at the gore of our decaying society. And it's like, well, who are you doing this for? Are you doing this for yourself, for your own ego? But I mean, I digress. I think that the Iraqi perspective is important, but I don't think it was important for this specific movie. I think that there are many movies to be made that will do their um, do their suffering justice.
And I think
And
Tachi had said something earlier. It was either you or Tachi, but this kind of does feel like a glimpse into maybe how we will be seeing war films from here on out. Because I mean, compared to a lot of the war films from the 2000s, that I think a lot of people do argue um, could be quote unquote glorifying war, these feel more personal. These feel a lot more, what word can I use? Yeah,
real. They
yeah,
felt real.
they just feel real.
I
And so
mean, it this was no advertisement for being in the military.
not at
I
all.
mean, these are Navy SEALs,
Nope.
some of the toughest guys out there. And that just looked like hell.
And I think a lot of the discourse comes from people just seeing a trailer for a war movie like this
Mhm.
and immediately labeling it as propaganda.
You know
Right.
what I say to them?
Would.
Why don't you take a propaganda at D's nuts?
There you go.
Very good.
Ugh.
Well, we got two other war movies to talk about. Any last thoughts on Warfare?
Please watch in the theater,
Yeah.
Yes.
and please watch it with an open mind, and please be prepared to feel stressed.
Do we want to give our scores for this one right now, or do we want to wait until we do the other three as well?
Let's wait until we do them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or yeah, let's wait until we do all of them. We'll finish. We'll do Jarhead next. Then we'll do Act of Valor. And I think
Um,
we rate Act of Valor, and then I think we rate Jarhead, and I think we should end it with rating
Warfare.
Warfare.
Okay.
before we move on, though, do we want to do favorite scenes or moment?
Sure. Yeah. I talked about mine if there's one that you didn't get a chance to hit on yet.
I don't know. With this movie, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite scene.
It's hard to pick a favorite scene.
We all
Yeah.
know it's the show of force.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool.
All right, we'll say on the count of three. Ready? One,
Wait, what are
two.
we saying?
Our favorite scene on the
At the
count of
same
three.
time?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. One, two, three. Show of
Show
force.
force.
Show of force. Timing was off, guys. This is why we're not in the army. So
Awesome. All right, Tachi, take us to Jarhead.
Sure. Jarhead, released in 2005, directed by Sam Mendes, which I was kind of surprised by.
I was two. I'd never seen Jarhead. Had any of us, real quick, seen Jarhead before this?
Nope.
no,
Okay, let's go.
So, quick synopsis: Jarhead is a film about a U.S. Marine, Anthony Swafford, and his experience in the Gulf War. After putting up with the boot camp, Swafford and his unit are sent to the Persian Gulf, where they are eager to fight, but are forced to stay back from the action.
Who's in this?
Who's in it? Good question. Jake Gyllenhaal, Jamie Foxx, two bangers off the bat.
Yeah.
John Krasinski makes an appearance.
about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Private
Jim Halpert
Jim.
jump scare.
right. Those are like the really notable names.
The guy who plays Mother's Milk in The Boys was in it too.
Was that him?
Yes.
I thought it was
It
because
looked like him.
yeah, there was a scene where he was holding a cigar and it kind of was like a side profile, and I was like, "Is that Mother's Milk?"
Laz Alonso. Yep, you're right.
And don't forget Cheddar Bob
Cheddar.
from 8 Mile.
Oh my god, two of them I didn't even realize.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
That's why I was like, I'm
He looked
watching the
so
movie,
familiar. It took
I'm
me
like
half the movie to figure it out.
I'm like, "Who is this guy?" That's Cheddar Bob.
That is Cheddar Bob.
Ah, that's
He
fun.
didn't shoot himself in the leg with his own gun in this one.
No, someone else got shot though.
But not many.
Spoilers for a nearly 2-decade-old movie. Come on, man.
Spoilers for Jarhead ahead.
Jarhead. I went into it blind. I didn't read the synopsis. I didn't watch the trailer.
Same. Yeah, completely.
Um, It was not what I expected.
Yeah.
It was almost like a slice of life type of movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It felt like a modern day Full Metal Jacket,
Mm-hmm.
like a modern retelling.
Never
Does
seen it.
does Full Metal Jacket use the down there, in that
I don't
that one
remember.
song?
It's been quite a while since I've seen Full Metal Jacket. I don't think it does. But I mean, it opens like Jarhead does. Well, I guess Jarhead opens like Full Metal Jacket does with Marine Boot Camp. You know,
Yeah,
you little scumbag.
right
Mhm.
off the bat, like, the tone of that scene, like, was all like, I kinda got whiplash, like, from the beginning, like, thinking like, again, I think when I think war movie, I think something very specific,
Right.
but there's already, like, a lot of comedy elements in the first 5 minutes of this.
You are green.
"Do you think I look good in my uniform? Are
So
you
yes, sir.
gay? Do you love me?"
I can't think when you're hitting my head.
Yeah, I loved the comedy interjected with that. I
Yeah.
thought it was a good refresher coming off of warfare.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, you know, it was fun to kind of see some some humor kind of thrown into it from someone else's recollection.
Yeah.
You know, kind of making fun of themselves a little bit.
Yeah, this I did enjoy this movie too. For some reason on Apple, when I had clicked the movie, it had mentioned that it was nominated for an Oscar, but I couldn't find anything on that. So I don't believe it was. I don't know if I overlooked, but this would have been the 78th Oscars, I believe, in 2006. And I may have just read something wrong, but it was nominated for a bunch of other award shows for its screenplay.
Like
For
Golden Globes or something?
yeah, for adapted screenplay since this is based off of a book.
Mhm.
Wikipedia doesn't have it nominated for anything besides the 10th Satellite Awards
Mhm.
and the Washington D.C. Area Film Critics Association Awards of 2005.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, what did you guys think about Jarhead?
I liked it a lot, and I was surprised at the amount of negative opinions I saw of this movie because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it actually. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was like you said before, I thought it was a great slice of life. And I thought it was very unique because I think it differed from Full Metal Jacket a lot, even though like I described it as like a modern retelling. But I mean, it felt like its own original movie, even though it kind of followed the same beats opening. It's a different story, and I thought it was, you know, I thought it was really powerful. I thought it was the themes of, you know, having that kind of brotherhood as Swafford did in the Marines, but then kind of almost getting isolated in his own mind was it was thought it was very powerful, very good. Yeah, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with everything you said there. It did feel um like a descent into madness, and then just
Mhm.
kind of seeing how boredom how boredom just takes over a lot of this team. And I think one of the most powerful scenes in it that kind of describes that is when we're initially at the oil wells that are on fire, and Cheddar Bob, I'm forgetting his name in the actual movie, presumably takes a body to kind of play around with it, and everyone's kind of just really put off by it, and it seems like he's already kind of descended into that madness, and then one of his other teammates tell him to keep his mind in check, and you can see it really hit him, like, in that moment, and
It was such a shocking scene.
mhm,
The visuals of the oil wells burning is, I think, probably the most iconic imagery from Desert Storm, and to kind of have that scene going on in this, you know, very iconic moment from that conflict, I liked a lot. The
mhm,
dichotomy of it. You know, here's this, you know, widely publicized image, and below it is something going on that's absolutely depraved because this guy's lost his mind.
mhm,
And but that's kind of how it was. You just get really bored, and some guys just went completely off the deep end. I mean, my dad was in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, so he went through a similar experience. Now his was a little different. He was in a different branch of the armed services there, but yeah, just wandering around the desert for 100 plus days, like guys are going to kind of lose it, and especially for the Marines, I mean, they had been trained to kill, to dehumanize the enemy because they were going to go in and they were going to kick some serious ass. I mean, that's what the first half of the movie was.
Mhm.
So, like, of course, some guy's going to lose it and really dehumanize the enemy. I think that was the most jarring scene of Jarhead was that scene under the oil fires. It was like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
for
I mean,
sure.
there's all sorts of crude humor in it leading up to it, and then it was just like, boom, there it is.
Crude
Like,
humor.
oh,
There's another one.
someone stop me.
I think this movie made it a little more clear when it's, I guess, when some war movies want to ask the question from the soldier's perspective of like, why are we here? What is our purpose? Like, what are we actually doing? I think this movie made that a little more on the nose because it was such a slower pace, like just day in the life, hanging out in the desert, waiting to see some action, waiting to see some action, waiting to fire your gun. And it just may or may not ever come. And they're just like, why did I spend so much of my life here suffering
Mhm.
in the desert, putting up with all this crap?
Like, you've been amped up to have this epic moment. Like, here
Hmm.
it comes, here it comes, here it comes, and then it just never comes. And it's like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. What a waste, you
Right.
know?
And I think the movie was very effective in taking that tone, and I think that culmination comes out in the scene. I think that really comes together in the scene with Gyllenhaal and Alan, played by Peter Sarsgaard,
Hmm.
that are quite literally about to get their first kill. Like 100 days into this, and it's finally about to happen, and they're scoping out the tower before another staff sergeant comes with completely different orders. And Alan just loses it. Just goes like absolutely hysterical, like crying in the
Like
corner,
almost
like
as hacks.
yeah,
Yeah.
like throwing nothing short of a temper tantrum for not for not being able to get the kill. And it's like once the movie ended, it made me a bit uncomfortable because like as an audience member, like we're kind of waiting and expecting for this action to happen. And like you said, and how they lived it never did. And so it feels almost weird to, I mean, I don't want to say disappointed, but like just like let down after it didn't happen. And then I kind of took a step back, and you got to think like it's war we're talking about. Like this isn't great. This isn't what we want to be doing. And yet you have this group of men that are disappointed, that aren't getting that satisfaction. And I think that's what draws me to really enjoying this movie, is the way that it's asking or telling us those questions.
I think that's where a lot of the original negative feedback came from, though. I feel like my understanding was that it was marketed as like an action war movie.
Hmm.
Some people get in the theater and there's like no payoff. There's like a couple scenes where it's like some exciting stuff happens, but they weren't given what they thought they were going to get,
Hmm.
which is exactly what the movie is about. But I think that's where a lot of some of those negative reactions come from. People are like, "Oh, this is just boring. It's trite. Whatever." It's like, no, that's the point.
Hmm.
Um, and I really liked it a lot because I think one of the reasons I liked it a lot was it. I think there was a very balanced dichotomy of like, here's why this sucks, but here's why, like, here's how we got through it. There were a lot of scenes of them just having fun with the boys,
Hmm.
and that looked like genuine fun. Playing football in the desert. Kind of some malicious compliance going on. Sneaking under the officers' noses. Like, that looked fun.
Hmm.
That brotherhood, that camaraderie. That's something that I think it's very hard to come by when you're not a part of that. Not to say that, like, we don't have brotherhood or camaraderie, but that's very specific form. Like, you're in the suck together. And when you're in there together, like, it is a whole different kind of bonding than us hanging out outside of the podcast or outside of work or something. But on the flip side, interjected for those brief moments of fun and laughs is just a ton of just awful, monotonous, and like soul crushing events that happen to these people. And it's like, sure, it looks like fun, but I mean, it's like a coping mechanism, really. That's not to say that everybody who's out there is just miserable and awful, because sometimes it's just like a job. Like, oh, well, this is my job. I'm in Saudi Arabia. But I mean, that was Swafford's experience. Other people have different experiences. Some people probably had, good experiences. Some people didn't. It is a wide spectrum, but I think it did a really good job of saying here's the upsides and the downsides. Like, this isn't going to happen to you beat for beat, but this was my experience. This is what it was really like to
Mm.
to be a part of this. It was not glorious. It was not epic. It was by and large very boring.
Mm.
And like, just like so boring that you kind of lose your mind a little bit.
I think that also plays into the part where a significant part of the movie is um, Jake's character dealing with, what he's dealing with, being a Marine in the desert, but also having to come to terms with like his anxiety and dealing with relationship problems and just being this fresh faced 20-year-old guy way out of his element, just feeling lost. And it's just unbelievable levels of stress.
I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. Like that scene in the tent where he's like trying to get a reaction out of the guy.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Um,
brutal.
that was hard to
it
watch.
was very hard to watch.
Mhm. Jake
Was
Gyllenhaal put on a really good performance in this
Mhm.
movie.
He was awesome. He did really. I like Jamie Foxx's performance too.
I was surprised to see him in this.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, like we said at the beginning, like I didn't read the synopsis. All I knew was that Jake Gyllenhaal was in it, and that was it. And so when Jamie Foxx shows up in the bathroom, I was pleasant surprise.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Hmm. Any favorite scenes?
I loved the end where they find out that Saddam surrendered.
Yeah, that was cool. That might be my favorite too. Or it's not really a favorite, but it stands out a lot to me was when they were first trying to cross the desert, just total flatlands. They see some planes. They're getting confused why the planes turn around, and there's
It
friendly
was a show
fire.
of force.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I was about show of force is here.
right. That probably stands out to me the most outside of the tent scene when he's trying to get a reaction out of his squad mate. It was really powerful to me,
Hmm.
and how they just moved on from that. They just kept walking
Yeah.
because what else can you do?
Yeah, I think the tent scene would be one of mine. As far as like favorite shots, we talked about it earlier, but the oil wells
Oil, yeah,
on fire, just
that was
it's
cool.
beautiful cinematography. And this was shot by Roger Deakins, so wouldn't be the last time that Sam Mendes and the Deakins worked together.
1917.
Um, 1917.
No takers for the cuck scene.
Oh yeah,
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't say that's my favorite. I did see in the IMDb trivia that that's like a ghost story that has a lot of factual evidence that things like that happened.
Oh my god,
Those revenge tapes.
that's unfortunate.
That's crazy. Finding one in war, I'd be apoplectic.
Yeah, that was a big word. I didn't even know what that meant. I
It
can
means
assume.
apoplectic. I said it once. I couldn't
Yeah.
say it correctly the second time.
Tachi's googling it.
I am apoplectic. Adjective: overcome with anger, extremely indignant.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
How did you guys feel about Jim Halpert's scene?
I wanted a little more.
I
Same.
wanted some more too.
We got
I
our
saw.
Jim jump scare and then
Yeah,
dipped.
I saw in the trivia he wrote his lines for this movie.
What?
Really,
Yeah,
How?
and
Weird.
why?
they
He
weren't great.
That was like
They weren't
one of
great.
his first roles.
Yeah, it had to be. He
It.
looks so young.
I think that had to be filmed around the time season 1 of The Office started.
2005,
Yeah.
so
I
filming
think so. Yeah.
2004.
Um. Oh, also, real quick, I don't know how realistic that drill was, where they're firing live rounds right above their heads, but
Yeah,
surely that's not a real drill that they do, right? Like, I'm sure there's been accidental and friendly fire, of course,
But
but
in
that just
boot
seems
camp,
like
but
yeah.
playing with
surely,
fire.
I mean, he was shooting like a foot above them.
All
That
right,
can't be
I'm
real.
Jamie's pulling this up for us.
Who's Jamie?
Chat, who's Jamie?
Also, having to, while you're looking that up, if I had to burn a big old metal barrel of poop and pee with diesel,
Uh,
I'd quit.
uh. Oh, that was so
Sounds
gross.
horrific.
And then Mr. State Farm had to add to it.
I know.
Y'all remember him as the State Farm guy?
Yeah. It was weird that he was in this movie.
He so another one of my favorite scenes is the breakdown of Alan not being able to get his first kill.
Hmm.
The downside of that scene for me was the State Farm guy when he barges in. It just sounded like he was like popcorn line reading his lines. Like it
Yeah.
was like when he first came on, I was just like, "Oh, okay." And then like that scene specifically
It didn't.
just felt like his performance felt so off. Did you feel that?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah,
It was very off-putting. Like, took me out of the scene completely.
it did.
I found our answer.
Okay.
What you got?
This comes from our good friend JB Dyer on r/Ask Historians on Reddit. This is via the Recruit Mortality Registry, which was started in 1977. The obstacle course gunshot fatality, Private Derek O. White, 21, of Flint, Michigan, happened in 1994 at Fort Sill in Oklahoma during a night training exercise on a squad platoon offensive tactics course. Recruits carried M16s and crawled under barbed wire and live fire from an M60 machine gun. The machine gun was set to fire about 8 feet high with safety mechanisms to prevent it from firing downwards. During the exercise, the gun jammed, and while the sergeant tried to clear the jam, he took it off its mount and it fired, and that is what killed the private. It was not in any sense the recruit's fault. The Army recommended future training sessions to include a second M60 to be used if the first one fails rather than trying to fix the gun mid training. So it seems like that it did happen,
Wow.
but not. Oh, I mean, were
Maybe
they at Fort Sill during that scene? I don't remember.
I don't
I'm not
know.
sure. Maybe played up a little bit because it seemed like they were pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably just played up a little bit for, I guess, movie purposes, but still crazy that they
They
do that
wouldn't just
practice with
fire
live.
blanks or something.
Yeah,
I think there
but
are
I
better
mean,
ways to simulate gunfire, but that's
I
just me.
guess it was also the '90s,
Crazy time,
so
I guess.
lawless land. Any last thoughts before we get to our last movie here?
I think we covered
No,
it.
I got nothing.
All right, Alex, who up acting on they valor?
I'm up acting on my valor. Ladies and gentlemen, our third and final film of the night, we're going to talk about 2012's Act of Valor, directed by Mike McCoy and Scott Waugh.
Saving the best for last.
Scott
yeah.
Waugh, yes, we are. The only easy day was yesterday when a covert mission to rescue a kidnapped CIA operative uncovers a chilling plot. An elite, highly trained U.S. SEAL team speeds to hotspots around the globe, racing against the clock to stop a deadly terrorist attack. Unlike our first two features, this one is not based on reality. It's
No,
not based on a true story or a book or a memoir. But similarly to Warhead, it does focus on Navy SEALs.
Warhead.
And
More like
similarly to
Moorhead, am I right?
Similarly to Warfare, it does focus on Navy SEALs, and it does actually include real Navy SEALs in the creation process of the film. Most notably, I believe that the main actors are real Navy SEALs.
I can tell.
Much to the
Yeah.
audience's chagrin.
Yeah. So it stars Rosalind Sanchez, Emilia Rivera, Gonzalo Mendez, and tons of people that you have never heard of before. So we'll look at the director, Scott Waugh. What else has he directed? He's directed a movie called Hidden Strike, which I have never heard of,
Nope.
The Expendables 4,
Huh?
and everybody's favorite car movie, Need for Speed, starring Aaron Paul.
That's actually insane. This was Scott Waugh.
Scott Waugh and Mike McCoy.
Mike McCoy hasn't directed anything of note, correct?
As far as the only thing on Letterboxd, at least, is Act of Valor.
Okay. Yeah, I did take a
So
look at Scott's, filmography and saw Need for Speed and shut my laptop.
I wanted to like Need for Speed so bad. I was a huge fan of those games as a kid, but we're not gonna dive into that. We are going to talk about the fact that this movie started when Mike McCoy and Scott Waugh of Bandito Brothers Production made a promotional ad for the special boat teams, which led the US Navy to allow them to use active duty SEALs and special boat team members. Then they decided after that to make Act of Valor. So this movie literally started out as an advertisement for the US military.
It feels like it.
It sure
It
does.
It's an hour
is
and a half of propaganda.
just
It's here.
it's literally,
Literally.
I mean, I don't even know where to start with it. This movie appealed to me when I was in middle school. That's when it came out.
You've seen
And
this before?
I had seen it once before with my dad, actually. And when I was a kid, I remember, oh, the action was so sick. And I remember my dad goes, eh. He just was like, eh. And in hindsight, watching it yesterday, because I watched it yesterday before we, I did a double feature of this one in Jarhead. I just remember thinking, this sucks. Like, I'll give it the credit. I'll give it some credit. I think the action sequences were actually pretty decently directed.
A
Agreed.
lot of them were.
Agreed.
I thought the use of first person was pretty
Yep.
cool. But then when you remember that this is a recruitment ad for the US military, it's like POV, you're killing somebody.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the thing that really makes this movie suck and why I just thought it was painful to sit through was because in between all like the ridiculously action movie operations that the SEALs are going on. Yeah, compare these operations to compared to warfares. Same group of people, by the way. Just every single one-liner that they would drop, it's like, this is so hard.
Mhm.
It's like, this sucks, dude. Like,
There was too many to count. Like, I had started writing
I wrote some
some of my
too, dude.
favorite lines, and then I had to give up because it just kept happening.
I liked the one where it was like the guy gets like shot in the face, and then it's like you're gonna be fine, man. You're a hard dude, so you're gonna be fine. And then it's like it wasn't for nothing, like because they find the phone. It's like, but then like the guys he got shot in the it wasn't for nothing. But then the guy gets shot in the face. It's like, it's like, you're hard. You're going to be fine. It's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, fine for the rest of the sequence.
Yep.
He's like, mogging the camera, like, look how wounded I am. Um, like, I mean, I think the villains in this movie were like so comic book
They
ridiculous.
were
Mhm.
cartoonishly bad.
Like
Agreed.
the jihadi character who's like Russian, because I mean, I guess I'm genuinely impressed they actually made him like Chechnyan and not just like, oh, he's a Russian jihadi, because like at least they like tried to make
Yeah.
it like somewhat lore accurate. But like his motivation was so like comically ridiculous. It was really like
What was it? He was my friend?
well, no, that was the other guy, the drug
Mhm.
cartel guy.
Oh, okay, okay. The
We
one on
we
the
had
boat. Yeah.
a double whammy of the war on drugs being fought, and then the war on terror being fought in this
These guys
movie as
saved
well.
the world.
It was crazy. I mean, and these SEALs, they were flying them everywhere. They were racking up some serious miles between operations. They were in Africa and then Asia, and then they were in Mexico. They started in Costa Rica.
I will say they did a decent job at filming the skydiving scenes.
It was cool.
That
I
was
mean,
cool.
they really went
Mhm.
like that's the worst part is it's like as much as I wanted to detract against this movie, it's like there were some sequences where it was like that was pretty sick. Like
It made me
y-
wanna skydive.
it did. I'll give him credit where credit's due. This was a technically very well done movie. It was very well done. The DoD budget went hard on this one.
It was
Um,
also technically really bad. I will
they-
say,
the budget was spent entirely on like the camera.
mhm,
It's not the writing department was like, oh, we forgot to write the movie.
for like we did kind of already address this, but for the most part, the action was directed and filmed pretty well and in an entertaining way. However, the sequence when they are, I don't know where they're at. I think they're driving through like a Mexican town, wherever they are.
Towards the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All of the deaths of the cartel members, it's like they had to film that in 5 minutes. Like 20 different deaths where they just stand center frame and they just fall back.
Mhm. That
And
part
that was so ridiculous.
that part felt honestly to me like the is propagandic a word?
We'll let it slide for this one.
Okay. That part specifically felt the most propagandic to me because it was just like I don't know, they're out there, they're just like they're kicking ass. And we just got like these close-ups of like every single death of every single one of these cartel members.
Mhm.
Like you're supposed to just be like, oh fuck yeah. Like like I kind of disagree, Touchy. I feel like they took their time with those deaths. Like I think they like
It
really wanted to showcase it and be like, look how sick this is.
it just felt like an arcade game, like a 90s arcade game.
I think that's a great way to put it. It did.
Yeah.
This felt like live duty Call of Duty.
That's exactly what it felt like.
Dude.
I mean, you wanted to. There are a couple honorable mentions for the most propagandic scenes for me when they're on like the boat going to the Mexico operation, and it's like I would always regret not being out there with you. Like if you asked for it, it's like the guy's got like a kid on the way, and he's like, I need to be in the fight with my brothers. It's like, but you put in for a 2-week vacation. It's like, I know. I got one more in me.
I thought they were gonna kiss.
It would have been better if they did.
The sexual tension was palpable.
It was
Yeah, it really
crazy.
was. The way he smacked his butt after that conversation
were-
he had.
They were always an inch away from each other. Their
Mhm.
faces were so close.
The scene, but the problem is like the tension wasn't just between the SEALs. It was also between like when they show up and they get like the Mexican military guy, and it's like it's an honor, like I want to fight alongside you for Mexico, and it's
Yeah.
like it's like, geez, like just go get a room, dude.
The one dude who was doing the I guess the interrogation scene on the boat, I could only see Tom Segura. Like he was like a spitting image of Tom Segura.
Yeah.
And that scene specifically, I forgot exactly what he said, but he's like he's trying to be like buddy buddy with this guy. And he like
Oh, your name's
and-
Christo. Your name's
Yeah.
Christian.
Christian? You seen Star Trek? Oh, you gotta watch it.
Hey,
So-
corn pop.
Yeah. I was like, oh my stop.
The biggest propagandic moment for me.
Yeah, propagandic.
It's
It's in Webster's.
we're, our first merch drop, guys.
Propagandic.
Blank, solid colored T-shirts that say propagandic. The most propagandic moment for me though was in the final battle sequence in the tunnel when like the Mexican soldiers are just getting completely smoked, and it's like they're just like not focusing on all. You just see guys in like these covert uniforms getting smoked, and then like when like one of our glorious Navy SEALs gets shot, it's like what you say.
Also,
It's just the slow mo where it's like falling, like he jumps on. So I'm going to
grenade.
spoil the movie because you shouldn't watch this. The scene ends with the guy who had the kid on the way jumping on a grenade to save everybody instead of like, but it takes him like
so
long.
3
so
minutes
long.
of screen time to be like, there's a grenade. And then he's like, mogs the camera one last time and then jumps. And then he lands on the grenade and then dies. And then there's like a solid like minute of like, no, my buddy, and then they immediately just lock in again. and,
Yes,
then,
literally.
and
I
then
was like,
and then
"What?"
it's like, but the worst part is the movie ends with this guy's funeral and his grieving wife is there. And then it's like ending where it's like this voiceover. It's like, but your dad is dead and you're going to wonder why. But he was a warrior and you have warrior's blood coursing through your veins. No one is as dangerous as a man who can harness his emotion. And it's like, what are we doing? Who is this convincing?
I don't know. Who is this
Like,
made for?
I think it was made for like angsty hormonal teenagers who didn't have anything else going on. And
This
it's
is like the future poster boy for like MAGA film. It felt like.
I would love to compare Act of Valor to like Sound of Freedom.
What the hell?
It's
That was
just
my reaction for the entire runtime. And then I was thinking, I had a note here. I was like, do any of these guys die? And then as soon as I wrote that, the grenade scene happened. I was like, all right, one died.
the I can't I apologize for making you guys watch this. 5 minutes into it, I was like, why am I rewatching
I was
this?
surprised you picked it. Like again, like with Jarhead, that was a very nice surprise, not knowing anything walking into it. So I was like, okay, Act of Valor. I went as far like I didn't look it up on Letterboxd. I didn't want to see what the average rating was. I didn't see what the
Mhm.
rating on IMDb was. No influence for any of these films.
I
This was
did call it cringe in our show notes.
you did,
I called it cringe. So
but that was
I I picked this one specifically because I mean it is the same group of people as Warfare.
I will say, in addition to
Steals.
like a lot of the action being decent, I do feel some of the cinematography as well was pretty good, but I feel like they didn't give it any chance to breathe. Like
No.
like also like with the writing, it's just like line after line after line, and I'm like, if they could just like stay on some of these shots for a little
Mhm.
bit longer, like there's a lot of shots where it's like, okay, that's actually kind of interesting, and then it was immediately gone, and it just felt like that the whole movie was just like getting to the next thing, the next thing, the
Yeah.
next thing, the
Us
next thing.
and the soldiers were just being constantly transported to a new
Yeah,
place over and over and over again.
yeah,
It's just I mean, you look at what the Navy SEALs actually went through in warfare and how awful that was to sit there and experience. And then watching Act of Valor where it's like these SEALs died, but they were men.
and they love
Like are
each
you
other
kidding
very
me?
much.
It's a movie that is so divorced from reality. And I don't mind that in like a war movie, you know? Like I think like Black Hawk Down did a really good job of like being a pretty good action movie, but still being like a really solid war movie without like getting too far away from what really happened.
Mm.
This was ridiculous. And yeah, it's not based off like a real operation, but the movie opens with this movie was based on real acts of valor.
Yeah,
Like it felt like it didn't actually respect any of the acts of valor.
it was just a bunch of dudes like patting themselves on the back.
Like thank you for the government and the president thanks you for the service. Like that was it's like it was complete lip service to like real sacrifice that guys have made, because
Mhm.
there have been guys who've jumped on grenades, you know, guys who've taken bullets for, you know, their brothers. And this was just I think the cringiest way to hone in on that theme of brotherhood, because I felt it's almost disrespectful. Yeah, in Black Hawk Down there's a scene that it lives rent free in my head. It's one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie. It's when Gordon and Shugart go in to defend Mike Durant after the second Black Hawk crashes. Those guys won the Medal of Honor for that. They died, and that scene I think does an incredible job at portraying that. And they're heroes. They really are. And you might say, why did they do that? Why did they go into something where they were going to die? But you know they did it anyway, and you know Mike Durant is alive today. Maybe. I don't know. He survived Black Hawk Down. He made it out of Somalia. I don't know what he's up to today. Maybe he's listening. Hi, Mike. Um,
He's like, Act of
Uh,
Valor is my favorite movie.
we get an angry letter from Mike Durant. You guys suck. And I think that for a movie that was starring real servicemen, I think it didn't really give any sort of valor to the acts of valor.
Mhm.
It felt so superficial. And I think that's what pissed me off about the movie the most. It just like felt fake. You
Well
didn't
said.
even try.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like one that always gets thrown around, it's a contemporary movie as well, so I'll throw it in here. One that always gets, thrown around as being propaganda is American Sniper. And, Chris Kyle, his story didn't add up as best, or that we'll put it that way. Story didn't really add up when you look into it, but I will take it at face value. Even that movie, which gets a lot of propaganda hate, it still didn't really portray things greatly. I mean, he wasn't particularly happy throughout the movie, but an act of valor that's like, this is great. Like,
They were having a good time.
my boy's dead.
Yeah, this movie was something. Tachi,
Was.
any
Do
last
you
thoughts
guys
on
have
this
any
one?
favorite? Yeah, I mean, any favorite scenes? Like,
No.
There was one shot, and I don't know if it's just because I partook in the devil's lettuce before watching it, but there's
That
one.
actually seems like the right way to watch this.
No.
nightmare blunt rotation, act of
Yes,
valor.
Valacast.
I had to lock in because I wasn't sure if like I was going crazy or not. I'm like, are are they actors? What's happening? What is the script? So I really had to focus to even understand what I was watching. But there was a cool shot, like the very beginning of the movie. I think it's in the first 10 minutes maybe. They're like rolling a body with a rug,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
really smoothly transitions with the camera onto or like into a new shot. I thought that was actually really cool.
I did write that one down too.
Yeah,
That was neat.
It felt kinda camp, but it
I
was
liked
also
it.
just, like, done well.
Yeah, it was really smooth.
I think my favorite scene was the skydiving scene,
Mhm.
probably because the
Which one?
planes. I don't remember the difference between them, dude. I've already forgotten like half that movie.
I don't even know if I have a favorite scene. I'm gonna say the interaction between the 2 when he gives him the poem and then ends it with spanking him on the butt,
It's a good
because I
one.
thought they were gonna
Oh,
kiss.
is that what he gave him?
Yeah, that was the poem that he was reading
Oh,
at the end of the movie.
It's really romantic.
It was. He's like, "Imma fold this up into a paper airplane and give it back to you."
then
But
we're
it
gonna
didn't,
kiss.
and then we're gonna kiss.
What do we give it out of 10?
We wanna go.
I want to go in descending order.
Okay, hang on. Let me get my scores in order. Out of 10, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll give mine first. Act of Valor, 2 out of 10. Oh,
we'll give
am
it
I
a.
doing all of them?
No, I think we're just doing act of valor.
Okay,
I
okay.
think I think I'll give act of valor. Give it a 4 out of 10.
I'll
Okay.
give
There
it.
was some good
I'll
action.
give it a 3. It's a
Okay.
difficult 3. It's not an easy 3, but
It's not saying much still.
yeah, it's just that it wasn't completely horrible. There were some positive aspects.
That's the 2 for me.
Yeah,
I I feel like the problem is with like rating something that low. It's like it's so arbitrary below like a 6.
Yeah.
um, I'll give Jarhead an 8 out of 10 though.
okay,
I'm giving Jarhead. Can we do halves?
yeah.
Sure.
Nah, I won't do a half. 8 out of 10.
Then I guess I'll also give it an 8.5. Or sorry, 8 out of 10.
Nice. We don't have to do any math for that one.
Nope.
So for Act of Valor, we had 4, 3, and 2.
Yeah,
So it would be our average rating for that one's a
3.
3.
Yep.
it's a 3.
Um,
This one's a 4.
and then I'm gonna start off with Warfare because I am gonna do a half. I might change it later. I'm gonna give Warfare a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
I'm actually strongly debating giving it a 10.
Wow.
And the only reason that holds me back from not giving it a 10 out of 10 is because I am not sure it deserves to be the first war movie I've given a 10. So I might have to go back and retroactively put like Saving Private Ryan as like a 10 or something. But I'm thinking it's like a 9.5 or a 10. I loved it.
I'm glad you loved it.
I will say the same. I'll also give it a 9.5. That was such an amazing theater experience and an amazing movie experience, but more specifically, I think outside of Infinity War and Endgame, in terms of movie experience or theater experiences, that is right up there with me.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's just because of the Dolby sound system that I had.
I'd
That
love
was
to rewatch that at that theater.
highly recommend it.
Well, I'm gonna give Warfare an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. So that's what, a 9 or 9.25, I guess.
I'm doing math. Hang on. What did you say? 8.5, Malik?
Yeah.
9.166666667. You heard it here first, folks.
Okay.
Yeah, this I had a good time getting to watch these 3 movies. Like, and I think Jarhead puts it perfectly. Jake Gyllenhaal says in the narration towards the end of
I
the
think I
movie,
know exactly what you're going to say.
all war is different. All war is the same.
Yep. I wrote that down.
And I think that's a good summarization of the experience of watching these 3 movies.
I'll agree with you there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch more. I'm a big war guy. I love war.
What are I think you 2 like war movies a little bit more than I do. Am I correct
It's,
in saying that?
yeah.
What are some
Yeah.
recommendations? Not
Saving
that I'm
Private
gonna watch them
Ryan
anytime
is
soon. Well, I've seen Saving
easy.
Private
Easy.
Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Hawk Down is one of my favorites.
Okay. I haven't seen that one.
I have been meaning to watch Thin Red Line. So if you want to come over and watch that,
If
Oh, yes, Thin Red
the
Line.
one I got at
Yeah.
Criterion.
if you want to go a little bit back in history, this movie gets a lot of flack, but honestly, I really like it, and that's The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. So
Apocalypse Now,
Mhm.
Deer Hunter. You go really far.
They were watching Deer Hunt. They were watching Deer Hunter in Jarhead.
They
Or
watched
well,
Deer
they
Hunter.
they
were
thought they were
supposed
gonna.
Yeah, they thought
They
they
were
were.
they were supposed to watch Deer Hunter, and they did watch Apocalypse Now in Jarhead.
Nice.
That was good. That was good.
Platoon is another good war movie.
There's a Nicolas Cage one if you're interested in that. I think it's called Wind Talkers. Hold on.
You got like Hacksaw Ridge, Letters from Iwo
Oh,
Jima, Flags of Our
Hacksaw Ridge has been
Fathers.
on my watch
Yeah,
list for
Wind
a
Talkers.
good minute.
There's a lot out there.
You said
There's a
Wind
lot out
Talkers
there.
with Nicolas Cage?
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah,
probably what you would expect.
I'll check some more out. Probably not anytime soon though, because like I said in the beginning of the episode, I need like a detox from all these guns.
This isn't necessarily a war movie. It is a military movie, Sicario. That's
Oh, I
great.
love Sicario.
Yeah. Great movie.
Sicario's good. Awesome.
All right.
Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
You guys didn't get my joke.
I'm still not there.
Which one?
The one I made during the news.
What did you say?
Yeah, I forgot.
One more time. Indian Paintbrush is doing a live action performance of their movie Conclave in the Vatican City.
Okay, I think I get it.
Because the Pope died and they're doing a conclave.
I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
I got that.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Okay,
What a beautiful place to end. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you in the next one.
We'll join you for next week. And I actually think we can say confidently that we have next week's topic.
Star Wars.
Yep.
Oh,
So may the 4th be with you.
Yeah,
And
what
we'll see you
specifically?
then.
Don't know, but it will be Star Wars themed.
Woo! We'll see you then.
Cue the outro music.
thanks everybody.